Good morning. How is everybody today? Happy and you know it? Let's clap your hands. Awesome, awesome. We have Dr. Andrea here to speak with us today. It's an awesome day. And to fill this room with love even more, go ahead and take it away, Dalton.
So I planned this song earlier in the week without checking the forecast. So I would like to take credit for the weather. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and the green was easy and the rivers ran clear. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land. And the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and the way was easy and the path was clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. Oh, freedom. And the guardian stars are shining, and the night is bright and clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and the song was easy and the path was clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. And the ancient pain is forgotten, and the Father's debts are clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came.
That was perfect. You know, I'm one of your groupies. I think I fall in love with him more and more every single week. But thank you. So in honor of the rain, I want you to do something with me. And I want you to just to stomp your feet. Let's hear that rain dance to keep it going. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. So good morning again. And this is our time that we turn around and say hello to our families at home in their jammies. Here we are. We're having a grand time. Hello, everyone. Woo-hoo. Whoop, whoop. Yep. That's us, the ones that got up, got dressed. Yep. Here we are. Yeah. That's one of my favorite parts. as you can tell. So I'm Reverend Sue in service today, and I'm here to support anyone if they need prayer support after service. I thank the people that have arrived. We've got the book sale going today, and it's going to go on until next week. But there's a lot of good deals out there, and it's been really fun to kind of fill in the spaces. We've sold a lot so far. So enjoy the book sale. And we have, I think, Carol, are you the board member? Okay, thank you. If there's anything you need to sign up for today, we have the workshop this afternoon. You can sign up with Carol for that this afternoon after you are so amazed by Dr. Andrea. You don't want to miss a bit of her visit with us. No pressure, no pressure. And the endowment fund grants, we talk about that throughout this month, but they are due by next week. So May 1st is your deadline. If you've had one kind of, brewing in you and you knew it would help our center, now is the time to get your grant application in, and you can get those from Carol as well. Good news is, yay everybody, the AC is fixed in the pavilion. Yay. Yeah, that has been a real community gift to allow that to be back and functioning as we hit the warmer days, so yay, yay. Medicine for the Spirit, I'll have you talk a little bit more about that if you wanted to, but she's presented this 2-hour workshop, starts around noon, so you have a little bit of time to get a bite to eat and come back, or just spend the whole time buying books, I don't care, just come back. And it's an interactive workshop, and everything Dr. Andrea ever does takes you deeper, and you always walk away with deep insights and an open heart. And with that, Robin, yay Robin, can you stand up? People need to really see, hey, I haven't seen Robin in a year. There is our Robin. Yeah, thank you. She's going to start another book study, In Love for No Reason. And this is a transformation expert, Marcy Shimoff. And I'm reading from the notes here. Shares current scientific research, ancient wisdom, and proven techniques to guide us on a journey deeper and deeper into the love present in our own heart. And so it's going to start right off on May 3rd to June 28th from 2 to 4. Still social distancing and wearing a mask. But she is really skilled at presenting book clubs. So thank you for coming back and starting that new adventure with us. We are looking forward to it. I think that wraps up most of the announcements, and now we get to move into reminding you to silence your devices, just in case you forgot that. Always important. Any newcomers with us today? Wondering why we're making such a big deal about Andrea? Just kidding. Kidding. She is my one of my dearest friends, and she taught me everything I am. So I was going to use a very ministerial voice. But she didn't teach me that, so she taught you to be real. So that's what you get to see in a short few moments. So our reading today, Craig, join us up on stage for the reading. We'll have beautiful background music by Judy for the prayer, and Charlie will sound the bell, and then we'll move right into our service. Craig Boyer.
In Brené Brown's book, Braving the Wilderness, she uses the acronym BRAVING, and it stands for the following. B is for boundaries. Set, hold, and respect boundaries. R is reliability. Learn to say what you mean and to mean what you say. A is accountability. Step up, be accountable, and take responsibility. And issue meaningful apologies when you are wrong. V equals vault. Keep confidences. Recognize what is yours to share and what is not. Integrity. Practice your values even when it's very hard to do. N equals non-judgmental, and be willing to give and receive help. G is for generosity. Learn how to be generous in our assumptions about other people. How brave are you? Be willing to step out and step up into your magnificence.
And take your moment to open. I want you to feel your body opening. Feel the smile within the smile upon your face. Know that you have gathered in great company here. There is only one. One love, one friendship, one truth, one word spoken. A truth that reaches all our hearts today. And we recognize in community that we make this deep connection to our source and to one another. And for that, we are so, so very grateful to have an opportunity to bring Dr. Andrea here and to allow ourselves to, in person, get to exchange that energy of great love and great respect. So much gratitude fills this room from our Women's Day yesterday. So much love, so much loving kindness. And for those that have the ears to hear, so much happiness. I can't stop smiling. I release this word knowing that we're all in this together and we are evolving and moving forward in this great love. Dr. Andrea will lead us further. In gratitude, I release this, knowing it's so, and together we say, and so it is. Thank you, Judy. So, Dr. Andrea speaks for herself. I will allow her to come onto the stage. Welcome her.
Okay, we're going to do a sound check. We good, Lindy? Yes? Okay. So delightful to be here with you all. I see so many familiar friend faces. And for those of you who don't know me, I can't wait to get to know you without masks at some point. It's a little harder, you know. So the topic for today is stepping out and stepping up. And it's part of the larger series of stepping into the unknown. And this community has had a lot of practice with stepping into the unknown over the years. And if this doesn't work, we'll switch to a different mic. And you're getting ready for a new change. And so I wanted to bring you some familiar news and maybe a few new ideas. So you may remember the famous Jewish psychiatrist, Viktor Frankl, who was interned in the prison camps in Nazi Germany, lost his entire family except for one cousin, had the manuscript of his life that he carried with him into the camp and hid for a long time, and then they found it and burned it in front of him. When he was released from that camp, he became a leading psychoanalyst person in the world and developed a whole new line of therapy called logos therapy, logos meaning meaning. And so what he developed came out of his experience of being in the, you want me to switch, Lindy? We're trying out a new mic, so. Okay, all right, so logos therapy was what came out of his understanding from being in the death camps and watching how humanity responded to that existential and real threat. So one of the things that he witnessed was that as he moved into the world go this one? Okay, good, because I feel like I'm pregnant here, you know? So let me undo this and turn it off, and we'll start again. Or maybe I'll just mute it. There we go. No? There. Okay. So as he was... I think we pushed this button.
Let me just take this damn thing out of here. Excuse us for a moment. Turn the camera. It's under your arm.
Here.
Thank you. No problem. Now it's under here. Oh, how awkward. Oh, very awkward.
I'm really glad I have experience.
Excuse me.
All right. So, theater, right? So what he saw was that as people came back into the world, sort of like we're doing now, bit by bit, that they made some interesting choices. And so you could imagine that over by the bell is where a lot of people coming out of the pandemic now and coming out of death camps were, and that is sick. Sick with anxiety and fear, sick with isolation and depression, whatever. And that, you know, over there, that's where they started. And as they came back into their life, they moved to right about here, next to me, and that's not sick. So sick to not sick was great. It felt so much better. It felt so good. But then he noticed that people would go back to sick and then come back to not sick in a cycle. Sick, not sick, over and over again. And whenever they got to not sick, they felt so much better. But then their habitual patterns would kick in and they'd go back to sick. And he was asking the question in Logos therapy, well, over there by the beautiful piano is thriving. What would thriving look like? And he would ask his clients, his patients, well, you know, you can keep doing sick, not sick, over and over in a cycle forever. But what about thriving? What would that mean to you? What would that look like? How would you feel if instead of being not sick, you were thriving? And I'm asking you the same question. Because what happens to us is we get very habituated to our lives, and they're not bad. You know, we're very, very lucky to be in a country where we have plenty of water, we have plenty of food, we have lots of ability to, in a non-pandemic time, to move around and explore, and it's wonderful. We have a teaching that teaches us how to be free, but a lot of us still forget to ask the question. Right now in my life, wherever I am, right now, what's thriving? And what I've seen over these years that I've been teaching is that a lot of times people refuse to answer the question, you know? Like, how many workshops have you been where people say, okay, now visualize what you want. Get a real picture, get the feeling of it. Let's, you know, embody it. Let's take it in. Let's really visualize it. And I can't be fooled. I'm watching people and I'm going, yeah, they're not doing that. They're not doing that. They're sitting there going, oh, brother, another one of these. Or, I don't know. Mostly it's, I don't know. I don't know what thriving means. I don't know. Sounds a lot like not sick to go, I don't know. So stepping out means being willing to ask that really hard question and answer it. Not just hear it, not just, you know, go, oh, that's a really good question. I'll give that some thought, not. But instead, to actually answer the question, what's thriving? What does that mean to you? What would that look like? What would that feel like? Every workshop leader asks the same question, and we all want you to answer. I want to answer myself. So I don't know what your answer is, but I can tell you a couple of things that might get in the way of really discovering that. So the first is judgment. And it's an interesting habituated pattern. Now, I am sure none of you sitting in this room suffers from judgment. But sometimes I do. And it's judging other people, it's judging myself, it's standing in the line at Costco and someone tries to cut, and instantly, whoa, all that loving kindness practice just goes somewhere else for a minute. So the judgment, believe it or not, is part of what keeps us from answering the question, what is thriving? And I'll tell you more about that in a minute. And the second thing is habit. And habit is one of those things that a lot of my teachers talk about. Thich Nhat Hanh was one of my teachers for many years, and he talked a lot about how habit is one of the things that keeps us sick. And the way it works is this: we really want to be different. We really want to answer the question, what is thriving? And habit is like two huge, 7-foot-tall, very muscular men who come to your house and they grab you by the arms and they drag you out of your house, and you're kicking and screaming and resisting and, throwing dead weight to try to slow them down, and where they're taking you is a furnace so that you can burn up. Thich Nhat Hanh didn't really pull any punches. And, so you're being dragged to your death. And no matter what you do, you can't break their hold. And this was a metaphor for what habit is like inside of us. You say to yourself, well, I'm not gonna do that anymore, ever. And the two strong 7-foot muscular men come drag you to that piece of chocolate cake, or that glass of alcohol, or that habit of gambling, or that habit of not meditating, or whatever the habit is that you were trying to break. Am I the only one in the room that's had this happen? No. Okay. So working with judgment and habit turns out to be one of the main spiritual works that we do on the path to our own illumination and enlightenment. And so for me, I've become deeply interested in how to break through judgment, how to step out of it, and how to step up into something else, how to step out of habit, and how to step up into something else. And so, toward the end of this pandemic, I'm knowing and affirming it's ending, I decided that I would do a day-long workshop with Joe, with Jack Cornfield on Zoom. Now you have to appreciate, I'm sure you're in the same boat, I spend a lot of my life on Zoom now. And so to give a whole Saturday to a Zoom retreat was a really big deal for me. But I wanted to break habits. I wanted to deepen. I wanted to thrive. So I signed up for it, gave them more money than they even needed. And he told this story right off the bat. And I could have stopped the retreat right then because it was like one of the answers to what I was looking for. So here's the story. He, of course, is in Spirit Rock in the Bay Area. And he has attracted to his meditation center a lot of really phenomenal people, including the principal of a very progressive elementary school, private elementary school. And so he tells the story about her and one of her teachers who had to go to the local grocery store to pick up some supplies for something they were doing at the school. And so they're on a mission, and they're going through the grocery aisles, and they hear this woman who's yelling. And so they come around the corner, and there she is with her little 2-year-old son. And she's fried. She is so tired, and you can see it on her. And the little boy is he's just being 2, right? If If you've ever had a 2-year-old, he's just being 2. So he's not listening to her, and she's yelling at him, "Stop it, stop it, stop it." And she's getting louder and louder. And every time she says, "Stop it," he's taking the lower shelf of all the goods in that aisle and throwing them out into the aisle. And of course, if you know grocery psychology, they put all those colorful packages down there for a reason. And it's for the little kids to see. So he's picking up these and throwing them, and she's, "Stop it, stop it." And she finally grabs him as they round the aisle and see her, and she starts shaking him. And of course, we all know that's really dangerous stuff. So the principal and the teacher are like frozen for a second. And then the principal walks up to the woman who's shaking this child and yelling at him. And she didn't do what you might expect. She says, "Oh, what a beautiful little boy you have." And the woman is sort of caught off guard, and she kind of pulls the kid to her chest. She says, "You know, aren't they the best? They're so curious at this age." And the woman's like, "Yeah, curious, yeah." She says, "I can just tell he is such a bright child, so intelligent, so curious about the world. It's just wonderful to see that." And the woman looks down at her son, and she says, kind of tentatively, "Yeah, he is really bright. Sometimes I get really worn out." And the principal says, "Yeah, children are really hard, especially if you're trying to do this by yourself." And she goes, "Yeah, I've been working all day, and I'm a single mom." And the principal says, "Oh, so hard. I have 3 myself. So hard." And the woman is like looking at her child, stroking his hair now, And the principal says, "Well, you're just very fortunate to have such a beautiful, curious, intelligent little boy." And she and the teacher walk off. And as they're walking away, they hear the mom say, "Honey, let's go get some mac and cheese. It's your favorite, and I'll make it for you for dinner." Would you have done that? I wouldn't have. I would have frozen, not knowing what to do, and I would have either, most likely, because I'm conflict avoidant sometimes, I probably would have just turned around and walked away. Or if I was really bold, brave, as Craig was saying, I might go up and say, "Hey, stop that. That's really dangerous," or something. But no. Instead, there was love and compassion offered. And this is one of the ways we break judgment. This is one of the ways we break judgment that we project toward ourselves. Because I know I'm not the only one in the room that judges themselves harshly sometimes. Just like that mom with the little kid. And I want to just shake myself. Stop it, And up until now, I'm 64, that actually doesn't work very well. It's a knee-jerk reaction of judgment. But what does work is what the principal did, which is in a situation that's difficult, whether it's out in the world, in your workplace, in your family, with your beloved other, or with yourself, the hardest place, is to offer compassion and love. And so that's how we break judgment and step out of it and step up into how we want to be in the world, how we want to live our lives, which is out of a deep place of a well of compassion and love for all humanity, all of wacky humanity, right? But what about habit? What about habit? Well, this habitual way of living is not a new thing for sacred humans. And so I'm drawing on one of my favorite teachers from long ago. His name is Rumi. And Rumi knew all about habit, and this is what he wrote. He said, "The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want, don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. So the two worlds that he's talking about, have you ever asked yourself, what's he talking about? And what he's talking about is the two worlds that we inhabit at the same time. We inhabit the world of the mundane, where, we have a laundry list of things we have to do, even in retirement. In fact, some of my retired friends are busier than me. And we have all these things that have to be handled, from taking the garbage out to picking up the mail to doing whatever we're doing moment by moment. And I know that, for me, I write lists and I find them all over the house, because I forget to take them. So the mundane world is very compelling. It's very sticky, because it wants us to be involved with it. And our ego finds its home in the mundane. But there's another world that we inhabit at exactly the same moment. It's what Earnest Holmes, the founder of our philosophy, talks about all the time. He talks about how spirit, the divine spirit, divine intelligence, divine love, is within us, operating through us and as us. And that's the other world. It's the world of the spirit. And we inhabit it just as equally. It's absolutely right with us. But because it is an inward thing, it's much easier to be distracted by the outer. And so for us to break habit, we have to turn to the other realm. We have to turn to the spiritual realm that we inhabit and begin to live there. Why? Why does that break habits? Why does that help us step out of habits? Because the fundamental nature of the spiritual realm, you may have noticed, is this glorious heaven on earth experience. This place where, I know you've had it over and over, this place where all of a sudden all of the mundane drops away and you find yourself in the same world you've always been in, but it's not the same. There's a quality of presence that we meet when we reach that realm within us. And in the quality of presence that we can walk with, everything is different. And we realize what's important and what's not important has nothing whatsoever to do with the mundane world. That we do those things, but that actually what our life is about is something much deeper and much more significant. You can hear that it's difficult to talk about that place because we're so outwardly focused that to turn inward and try to describe what it would be like to live from that place is not easy. We're not familiar with it as we should be, I think. So Rumi says, okay, you must ask for what you really want. And that actually is the key to what I'm talking about, stepping out of habit. Let's say what you really, really want is to be in recovery from an addiction. And you ask for that. And you don't ask the outer world. You ask the divine intelligence within you. This is what I really want. That's a definition of thriving at that moment in your life, right? So you're asking for what you really want. And then the injunction that Rumi says is don't go back to sleep. What does he mean? What he means is that it's easy to ask when your heart is engaged, but it's not always easy to stay awake enough to see the answer, to feel the answer, to be the answer. And so part of spiritual practices are training us for those moments when we have a big ask and we don't want to go back to sleep and forget. Or we don't want to let the judgment come in and say, yeah, right, you're not worthy of that. What are you thinking? That's never going to happen, Or the habit comes in and puts us back to sleep. Yeah, I want that, but today I'm going to have that drink. Right? Can't hurt anything. I'll start tomorrow. We go back to sleep. The thriving that we asked for, we're not awake to anymore. So that is the essence of why we do practice, any kind of practice. I've long since kind of let go of you have to do spiritual mind treatment and that'll do it. I don't care what you do at this point. I just want you to do something, right? So if meditation is your thing, do it. If Tai Chi is your thing, do it. If yoga is your thing, do it. If spiritual study is your thing, do it. Just please do it, right? And I'm saying this to myself as well. To be in integrity in the spiritual world, when you've been given the gift of insight, you have to follow it. We have to follow it. So there's one last thing about this, and I could talk for hours, right, about this topic. But to step out and then step up, that stepping up image to me is an interesting image. It requires one more thing. And I brought you a story from a really nice book. I don't know if it's an old book. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to read The Art of Pilgrimage by Phil Cousineau. It's really a lovely book. So this is a story about Joseph Campbell, that famous mythologist that so many of us loved. So Campbell began in the 70s to start lecturing around the country. He had just written one of his famous books. He has a lot of them. And he would come to Chicago. This particular story takes place in Chicago, and lecture at the downtown YMCA. And so Karen Armstrong, probably know that name, was a teenager at the time, and her family would put Joseph Campbell up. And so they would welcome him whenever he would come to town, and he'd stay at their house. And in return for their hospitality, he would take them out to dinner. And so it starts with the steak dinner. So the heartiness of the beef bourguignon feast had improved everyone's spirits, and we fought our way cheerfully through the snow to the rather shabby YMCA on Grand. That evening, Mr. Campbell lectured to a small but enthusiastic audience on the nature of the goddess, concluding with a brief homily on the role of the artist in society and our need of these times for more women poets. His words brought radiant smiles to the faces of two published female poets in his audience, of whose presence he was not unaware. After the lecture, he was besieged by those who had pressing individual questions for him. He listened and answered graciously to everyone. I was lingering nearby, still trying to digest the immense ideas from his lecture, as well as the remainder of the beef dinner, and overheard the following encounter. A woman in her late 30s or early 40s approached Joe, and speaking very rapidly with great emotion, began to outline her plan for going to Greece to, quote, find the spirit of the goddess that you spoke of tonight. She pulled out a notebook and showed Joe her itinerary. She had made precise calculations of the best times to visit every major cultural attraction, and just when and where she would make her salutations to the various deities whose statues remained. Do you think this is sufficient? She asked Joe. Do you think I'll find the spirit of the goddess? Joe had been staring at her while a parade of mixed emotions played over his features. Now he took her one free hand in his, and with great kindness and solemnity said, Dear lady, I sincerely hope that all does not go according to plan. With that, he slipped into his overcoat and we left the building. Sitting in the back seat of the car on the drive home, I could barely contain my curiosity. Finally, mustering all the courage of my 17 years, I leaned over the front seat and said, Mr. Campbell, that woman who was going to Greece, Why did you tell her that you hope things did not go as planned? Joe paused as if trying to sort out all the various encounters of the evening, and then threw back his head and laughed with a mystic's glee. How will the gods ever find her when she has done everything in her power to make sure they never will, he exclaimed. Then very soberly said, unless, this is the key, unless you leave room for serendipity, how can the divine enter in? The beginning of the adventure of finding yourself is losing your way. So when we are like the principal and we step up into compassion and love instead of judgment, when we don't allow the strong men to drag us back into the habits that we've earnestly and deeply asked Spirit to help us with, the last thing we need to know in order to really step up into a new reality, into thriving, is we need to know that at a very real level, we're not in charge. The Spirit within us, in the very asking that we've done, knows how to get us from sick to not sick to thriving. And we may have all kinds of ideas of how that should look and what that should be like and how it's going to be. But the truth of the matter is, while having those ideas is great, we have to have room for the divine to bring us there. And my direct experience is, if we let ourselves stay awake and open the door to the Spirit that dwells within us to take our sincere, heartfelt ask and turn it into a reality, not only will we get there, but often we'll go past what we will surpass even what we were imagining. But never, ever have I experienced it in a direct line the way I thought it would happen. And often, to get from sick to not sick to thriving, there's some inner work that Spirit's going to require. Sometimes you lose things that you didn't expect to lose. Sometimes you gain things that you never in your wildest imaginings would have thought you could gain. And it's all on the way to the ask, to the fulfillment. So, what does it mean to you to thrive? Don't dodge the question. Don't answer too quickly. But by God, answer the question. Let me do a prayer for all of us for that. Indeed, the divine is resident within each and every sacred human, fully orbed, always offering all that it is. It knows exactly how to take us from sick to thriving in ways we can't even imagine. And so with a heart open and an awakened mind, I simply say, please, dear Spirit, I am ready to be transformed, to thrive. And as that sincerity is felt, and the awakened mind is open to possibility, all manner of things begin to occur. I'm so grateful for each one listening, their willingness to go beyond habit and judgment, to step out of those and to step up into their highest idea of what thriving might mean. And grateful indeed to the Spirit that knows how to do that by means of each of us. Please join me in saying, and so it is. Yes.
Thank you, she has been, in Bellingham, they have been really strict, and she hasn't spoken to an audience in over a year, so it feels good to have applause come back. Yeah, so much love there. Oh, normally we were putting another song at this point, but he has created a real upbeat song for us, so we're going to feel like we want to dance after this. So we'll wait for that. And right now is the time we just mentioned, the offertory. The baskets are at the two, the back, that door and that door. And just, if you have an offering, we welcome it into the baskets. And feel the gratitude that we have for that. As I said, we continue to do everything we can to allow this center to thrive, right? To thrive. And we feel very empowered with that. The center is doing well in that respect, so we continue to know that, and your conscious and gracious giving allows for that, so we are grateful. And did you want to talk a little bit, come back up and talk a little bit about your workshop so they understand what they're getting into?
I hope you will get into it. You know, having taught for so long, it would be easy to just bring to you something that I've already done. But I decided I really wanted to build a new workshop that was very different. And so Medicine for the Spirit has to do with looking at the egoic structures that we live from without really being aware of them. And instead of judging ourselves and feeling like, God, what kind of a person am I to be from that place, instead to really see the gift of the structure. And then we're going to work with a habit that we're wanting to shift. But we're going to work with it in a very different way. So I created this workshop, and I thought, you know, it's so new, and it's from such a different angle than I normally take. I need to present it so that I know that it actually does what I think it'll do. So I said to my community in Bellingham, hey, you want to come and do this workshop? And so they came, but it was all on Zoom, because we're not open, right? And so afterward, I got with a few of the people that had attended the workshop, and I said, so how was that for you? Because I'm not sure if I should like change things or, you know, they're like, oh my God, that was incredible. I'm still thinking about it, I'm still working with it. So I'd love you to have that experience too, if you feel like it. What you're gonna need, if you decide to come, is something to write on and something to write with. And if you're sticking around and you forgot that, I'm sure there's extra paper and pens that they'll provide for you. It's 2 hours long, which on Zoom is like long. Here, it's very interactive, so you're going to be working with small groups on and off to discuss things, but even that is different than normal. So you're invited to come if you'd like to, and I'd love to see you some more. But, you know, I know you've got lives, and hey, it's cold. You could go walking and not sweat. It's so cool.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so this is the time we kind of fill the energy in the halls with the affirmation. So are you ready? Clear your throats. Because there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Now say it again like you mean it, and you're going to thrive with it. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Very good. Very well done. Take us home.
So I was thinking about what to close with. I realized that there's some songs that I really like doing that I haven't done in a while because they're traditionally done as sing-alongs, and we're not really there yet. But we probably are at the space of clap-alongs, etc. So I've got my glamorous assistant up here to lead that. If you want to actually go, if you want to head over toward the crook, Judy, that would probably be ideal so people can see you. And I want to invite everybody to stand on up if you feel comfortable. There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say. Hey, clap along now. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. Hey, oh, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Cause I'm only for God. Oh, no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. Oh, I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Woo, that feel good? Yeah. Well, go out there and shop. Use that energy for a greater good. Thank you, everyone. See you at noon, or just have a blessed day, whatever you choose to do. Bye-bye.